past. Near enough anyway. Well, right. Apologies for absence. No, I mean, no, I mean indeed. Disclosure of interests. You know, no disclosures of interests. You got a protocol.
Sorry.
We're done with the aerodynamics.
I've got one, thanks. Yeah.
Public questions, comments to the public, etc. Jim?
Yes, I'd like to raise, if I may, a question which may lead to a second question. I don't understand the relationship between Felton Cam and the Parish Council, because it seems to me that a committee of enthusiastic busybodies have gradually taken over this village. Now, in the first bridge which talked about the electric vehicle points, it didn't even mention the Parish Council. It mentioned Felton Cam and the County Council. I spoke to the County Council and they said, well, the Parish Council has been involved, but I gather the Parish Council was involved at the very last minute. Now, this latest thing they've pushed out, they want to plant thousands of trees in the parish. I've never heard such bloody nonsense in all my life. If you put a drone up in this area, and I've had my son put a drone up to have a look around, it looks like a forest. And why we want to plant trees, the latest is green fields and marshy fields capture more carbon than trees. So what are we playing at?
I would say, is that your comment?
No.
Okay.
No. These vehicle charging points have been on to the County Council. They get passed from pillar to post. No one seems to be accepting responsibility for where these were put. No one at all. And I pointed out people have been encouraged to park on the pavement to charge the cars. Now, that wasn't in the first bridge. I was told that you could charge on there. And I was told that the police didn't have to be involved because it was County Council payments. And the County Council could give permission. Now, if you walk down their street now, outside the doctor's house, there's 3 cars parked side by side. Last week I came up from getting my paper, there's 3 cars parked there. I had to walk up the steps to the doctor's surgery and down the path to get back to my house. That is not on. This week, this is Monday, there was 3 cars parked there. A car got onto the pavement down beside Mr. Clark's at the drop curve and drove up the pavement to the doctor's to presumably collect tablets or whatever. When I came back, he was driving down in reverse down the pavement. The pavement is not a road. My understanding when I was on the Parish Council and went through this was only the police can give permission to park on the pavement, but no one seems to bother. The village has become a car park. And people go to the doctors now, and I have no obstruction to go to the doctors. They can find nowhere to park, so they park on the pavement. Now the entrance to Victoria Terrace is where I live, back in Victoria Terrace. There's a sign there that says keep clear. People interpret that simple 2 words, keep clear, let's just keep the entrance clear. They just drive over and park. Twice in the last 3 months, my wife coming back from shopping has been unable to get into Victoria Terrace. On one occasion, 7 cars were queued up behind her till she got off the road. This is no on. I would like someone to have a look they've created. It's a conservation area. There's numerous people in the village who are up in arms about the thing. They've asked, can they put a Sky television aerial up? Well, no, they can't have that. They can't have a thing on the roof for generate electricity, I can't think of the name of it there. Can't do that, it's a conservation area. And yet they stick those things in the middle of a conservation area with a big green box. It's not acceptable. The Parish Council should have been involved from the very start, and I would like to see them invite the police and the County Council to have another look at what they've created. Thank you.
Your comments on that? Any other?
Do you want me to explain why they ended up there?
Sorry?
Yeah, are we allowed to ask? So we were involved in the Parish Council was consulted about the location of the EV points. The trouble that we faced, we had suggested other locations in the village, for example the lay-by, as an ideal space for them to go because there would be a place for people to drive in and charge. What we came up against was that County Council were using a specific grant to fund the project, and the grant was for providing EV charge points outside residential properties where there was no off-street parking. So there was only a limited amount of space within the village that satisfied that criteria. And that was the place that was felt best out of the options. They were talking about putting them on the other side of the road, opposite the doctor's surgery, but it was felt that the pavement there was too narrow to allow the boxes to be safely installed. And outside the doctor's surgery was felt to be the best of the places that were offered. But we didn't get given a lot of say in it at all. So that's why they ended up there, because it was a particular grant that County Council had access to.
If I may, why was Felton ever selected in the first place? Was it on these enthusiastic Billy Watton butties volunteering?
No.
There's no one in Alexis, none in Morpeth,
I think
none in
because-
major towns and major villages.
They're going up everywhere. But I think
No,
because
they're not.
I think because they have this grant available, which was specifically to address the problem of allowing people to charge vehicles where there's no off-road parking, which is why the grant was available. And Felton was one of the villages that they looked at that matched that criteria, and they came to the village to do a survey and suggested what we thought was very inappropriate being across the road, and that was the better of the options.
I think just one of the main issues is there any actual EV-based parking to the road?
No.
Because that's the issue. People are parking their diesel or petrol cars.
But that was
and
because there was concern from residents that it would remove residential parking. So it was one of these things that hopefully people would be sensible. NCC said to us at the time, we hope people will be sensible and that they will, be mindful of parking there if they don't need to, so that they could allow.
Yeah, maybe it's a point
I
in the
think
race with
getting
NCC
those
again, saying,
things-
look, we're getting this dangerous parking from it. Can you review that?
But there's people parking on the path before the EV bits, weren't there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
No, there was people parking on the path before the EV bits, weren't there?
Yeah,
It's essentially, it's not, you shouldn't be
That's
allowed
not
to park.
what you say.
and if you check the cars that are parked there, most of the time the cars parked on the road next to the charging points are not charging, they just park there. And most of the cars that are parked on the pavement are also not charging.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
One
most of the
chap,
time there's only one or two of those. that
one
are-
chap had his car parked on the pavement there for 3 weeks, didn't move.
Well, that's
That's not right.
nothing to do with the
That's
charging.
not
No, nothing whatsoever.
They looked at Victoria Terrace.
Sorry?
That particular car belongs on
Right.
Victoria Terrace.
Yeah.
And the purpose of having the parking bays there was to allow the residents of Victoria Terrace to consider having an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
Parking on the pavement, if it's not acceptable, it should be reported properly. There was a traffic warden in the village the other day, on Monday, a week ago, and he walked off up the street, but I don't know if any of them got ticketed or not, but parking on the pavement is not legal.
I don't know.
It is outside.
You can park on the pavement, but it doesn't become a problem until you cannot get a pushchair past them.
Right.
That's
I
my
think-
understanding.
I think in the past as well, I can't swear to this, I feel it has been suggested when we talked about this before, that in Felton, because of the wide pavements, there had been discussion with the police at some historic point who had said, given the wide pavements, but I don't know where that came from.
Yes, it was. When I was
Jim,
on the
can
parish
we take-
council, it was looked
Jim,
at, and the police knocked it on our head.
Jim,
Nothing.
can I ask you, please, can we take people in turn?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just in terms of the law, it's not actually illegal to park on a pavement. What's illegal is to drive onto and off the pavement. Believe it or not.
I would quite believe that.
Yes.
So in terms of dealing with it, if you actually took video of the car driving on or off and give it to the police, if it's shown the registration, they can take action.
Is that including, where there's the dropped curbs though? Did you see what
Well, I mean,
you
if
know
it's a proper access that somebody has a right to use because it's got a dropped curb,
But,
then obviously...
the keep clear by Victoria Terrace entrance, because presumably that hasn't got a curb, so is there a point where would you be entering, if there's no curb edge, is there?
No, it's a road. There's no curb, it's a road.
But then that's what I'm saying with what Gary's comment there, that it's illegal to drive onto the pavement. Is it when you leave the keep clear? I
Yeah,
don't
go
know.
onto the pavement there. We totally accept that the parking in the village is an ongoing issue. However, it is very, very difficult to resolve that with the intricacies in the layout of the village. Electric charging points are going to be a requirement for every household, nationwide over the next, 15 years. And that is something that's going to have to installation, something we're going to have to just manage the best we can. There is not going to be a perfect solution, but they are going to be going up. They are an absolute necessity, in my belief, as is planting trees. And it's something we're going to have to deal with the best we can, but we're going to come against problems that we're going to have to resolve stepwise. Whereas I can see that they may have created somewhat of an issue, I think there's much more of an issue where they could have been, had they got up in a different place in the village. And it was really selecting the best of the bad bunch for this trial and for utilisation of the grant when it was available. And they were going to go up somewhere in the village when that grant came up through county. But no, it was not completely the decision of Felton Can. We do have a relationship with Felton Can on Felton Parish Council. Nobody from Can wanted to sit on the council itself, but we are attempting to make it known that we've got a working relationship with them and involve the decisions there. They may be viewed as busybodies, but what they are is incredibly enthusiastic group of people who are trying to do things better, not only for the village, but as the world as a whole. And something that we want to work closely with them to achieve.
The United Kingdom produces 3% of carbon in the world. 3%.
Yeah.
I wonder if you tell us how much this Felton produces.
I don't care, but less is what I want it to be.
We have spent more than 10 minutes on the public questions. We will have to move on.
Just grab a text bits of paper, is that right?
Minutes of previous meeting, to approve as correct. Everybody happy? You've had them for a while, I'm sure you've all already read them. All those in favour? Thank you.
Process.
And 3rd of October as well, second set. All those in favour? Thank you. Finance. Financial summary and budget. Monitoring. Any comments, any questions? To authorise payments, page 12. For the Hawkeye, there's a payment to myself. I would explain that is for grass seed that was bought to seed the patch of old brambles that we got rid of in the northeast corner of the wreck. Thank citations now.
Waiting. Still waiting.
Just for the record, because we had you explained that we had a glitch, courtesy of Lloyd's.
Yeah, we're waiting for them to change the signatories over it.
We need to have a backup plan for
I
this,
know.
because it's not acceptable. So that's 2 complaints we've had now.
Checks.
Possibly, a check, at the bare minimum, a check should have been raised. Then pay its wages and people get paid for doing things, and to be kept waiting and waiting is not good enough, really. We need to think about a backup plan when the bank's paid us.
Yeah.
Can you explain for those of us who don't know?
Oh, I'm trying to add people to the mandate, and it's taking a long time.
Trying to add?
Add signatories to the mandate.
All right. Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Being glitched.
It's the same as the parish council.
Well,
It takes some months.
I sent the letter off on the 26th of September. When I rang up a month later, they said it had been received the week before, so it had taken them 3 or 4 weeks to process the letter and put it on their system. Then they sent me a letter which was dated that date, but I didn't receive that until 3 weeks later. So it's just, everything's taking a very long time. I've always chosen.
Finance 5C to approve purchase of a new laptop for the parish clerk up to a budget of 400. Have we got, as far as a final suggested model?
I got a couple of specs from various places. One was from a supplier that Claire uses normally.
Yeah.
I also got one through work, both similar sort of prices. I mean, yeah, the spec to do exactly what Claire needs to do in terms of Excel, emails,
Yeah.
Word type documents, that type of stuff. Storage, yeah.
Which is the crucial part, 'cause I think that's where mine's failing.
Yours is just old and decrepit.
I'm all for generally saving money, but this is one of the occasions where I think it might be false economy just to only go up to £400, bearing in mind how quickly Microsoft updates and things like that, and I think £600 might be. I'll take your advice.
Well,
but I think
the prices are going up as well. I mean, that's what I looked at, which is that.
but it's just to future-proof it. It could be false economy because you could end up needing another new one sooner.
Yeah. So I mean, the current one is 2016, so it's 6 years old, so it's served its purpose.
Very creaky.
And it does take a long, long time to build up. 5 minutes plus just to...
I switch on and then go away and make a cup of tea.
Yeah. Have breakfast and a shower and everything else. But yeah, maybe a more high spec one would be as well.
I would suggest that we go from minimum Windows 11,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these were Windows 11.
and Windows 11 compatible.
They were Windows 11. I think they came with Windows 11 installed on them as well. I'll double check.
Compatible.
Well, they compatible now.
So you'd have to
But yes.
install that. And then there would be the ongoing cost for Microsoft Office, which is no longer a single issue under license, it's a multi-rebate.
Yeah, that's going to be...
Yeah, that's ongoing. That's sort of including our ongoing IT costs.
Your email, Ian, you recommend the Dell Latitude, blah, blah, blah.
Yes,
And you're quite happy with that?
yes, I'm happy with that one. Anybody else has sent the email, I see?
We've all seen these emails.
If anybody has better.
I have
It's not
Where are you back up?
What?
Where are you back up?
I've got an external hard drive.
So I haven't got any cloud backup storage. If external hard drive still, I know we'll go.
If you get the new Microsoft Office, you can take back to the cloud.
3 miles down the list of inbox.
So we're just going for the one that Ian, Ian, will you just check on
I'll
the,
double check
on
again.
the,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
11
yeah.
written
yeah,
in.
okay.
Assuming we have no further queries on this, are we happy to go for this model?
I would suggest we allow to.
I'll double check they can see the document as well.
I would also suggest we up the budget to 600, because if it doesn't meet the spec, then we're going to
Saves us going back.
Yeah.
I bought a Dell a year ago, and they're very good at updating the software automatically, so it's quite a good
Yeah.
added to Shiba before where you actually do it all yourself in Japanese.
We've had this counter proposal for up the budget to 600.
Yes, that's what.
Yeah.
Is everybody
Yeah.
seconded effectively? Okay.
So as long as Ian and I will just find them on.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Felton surgery. Nothing useful to add?
Everybody seems to be saying that they're waiting on everybody else.
Still.
Well, Assura, through the solicitors, through our solicitors asked Assura's solicitors, they said they were waiting for the go-ahead to move things, because they put the brakes on, they're still waiting to be told that they can go ahead. The CCG said, as far as they know, Assura are ready to go as soon as they get a green light. And that they were waiting hearing details of the current lease situation, but I don't really understand why that then delays the project.
Northumberland County Council have extended the S106.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
What I'm not clear about is that within the Northumberland County Council meeting, they referred to Lindisfarne Group as being a party to all this. I've yet to see any documentation showing that they are actually anything to do with Felton surgery.
Felton surgery are within the Lindisfarne Health Group area. We are.
The group as such doesn't have any legal status.
Well, maybe
No, I
not,
think
but
it's-
what we're waiting for is Dr. Lees to say go.
What I'm telling you is that at the Northumberland County Council meeting, they were specifically talking about Lindisfarne Group
In
taking
what
charge of this surgery as a group.
But is it not to do with the fact that the legal agreements have to be made with the doctors
Yes.
who are the partners
Yes.
in the relevant surgery or
Well,
group of surgery?
I would have thought if that was the case, the Northumberland County Council would know that. And when we're talking about extending the S106 for the benefit of the Lindisfarne Group, they wouldn't make that mistake.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I'm just raising
No,
it.
it's
I'm
like
just bringing it to your
medical
attention.
group is huge now. But individual surgeries have their own partners who are the legally responsible partners.
Yeah, I know exactly how they're set up.
Yeah.
We just don't know. Dr. Lees is just letting everything stumble, is my own opinion.
You could ask your own solicitor to find out who is actually going to be progressing the surgery,
Yeah.
whether it's Widrington stroke Felton, or is it the Lindisfarne Group as a new partnership?
As I understand it, the new surgery is an independent business belonging to Dr. Roberts and Dr. Lees. Dr. Wade, sorry, the husband and wife team, it will become their business. Each surgery is an independent business, and they operate under the umbrella of a larger group, which is for the
They're already in a group called Well Up North.
Yes. and that is-
So now we've got a second group called the Lindisfarne Group. What I'm asking is, how does any of this all fit together? Because it doesn't fit into the NHS system. You've either got partnerships, quite rightly as you say, who run the businesses. Northumberland County Council or referring to the Lindisfarne group. The further
We'll try and get
complication,
clarity. We've tried contacting the Lindisfarne group, really, haven't we?
Yeah, and then we did get a response back from Iran.
We went to Lindisfarne and came back from Iran.
It went to both of them. It went to all 4 partners that are listed with the Lindisfarne group and to the surgery.
I don't think we're going to see anything until something moves Dr. Leach to say to assure a go. Right. Standing item report from County Councillor Thorne.
None, but I seem to have deleted the... Oh no, the non-full release is one, that's fine.
Item 8, my proposal as per page 12. The aim is simply to make better use of our time. We schedule a lot more meetings, fewer council meetings, more committee meetings. This will allow committees, when they meet, to concentrate on fewer problems at a time, and hopefully we'll get things done.
But will it not take longer? Because don't all things have to be ratified by the whole council, and we're not meeting until every 2 months. No matter how quickly the subcommittees work, we then got to go to the council on a 2-monthly basis.
It depends if you
agreed.
Depends if you delegate authority. Most things can be delegated to the committees to make a decision, except for the precept and a couple of other things which have to be done by full council. So we maybe need to, you know, I guess as soon as we run up against a problem at a committee meeting where we need parish council approval, look to see whether it's something that could be amended in terms of reference to delegating.
One of our problems, a regular problem, is scheduling a meeting for committees that people are happy to take the date. Whereas if we slot dates in for a year in advance, meetings can be made, we can always cancel them. I mean, consider how much we actually achieve at council meetings.
I think it's a good idea, and it'll concentrate our minds to get things done.
So what we would do is we'd have an alternate. So on the Mondays when we didn't have a parish council meeting, we'd have a committee meeting. At the moment I've also booked the second Thursday of every month for additional committee meetings so that we can kind of try and get some of the committees moving. For the rec, that's the rec field. But I think the idea is that we would look at what was being used on a regular basis and get a calendar in place so that then it should hopefully let people, you know, plan their
year.
Would this have any knock-on effect just to the earlier payments? Don't delay payments for a further 4 weeks?
Well,
No.
Regular payments can be approved, like our financial regulations currently allow, if we've got a series of regular payments, we can approve them for the year. The trouble is at the moment the staff salaries vary, but this could be something that, this is one of the discussions we've been having about the contract, whether we move to a set number of, you know, almost like an annualised pace, so that it's evened out across the year, and then it can be approved for the year, approved and then at the start and done by direct debit rather than having to do it every month manually.
Being on the receiving end of the tardiness of the parish council, I don't think this is a good idea. I'm surprised that you do.
But I don't think the tardiness had anything to do with
If you have
the
a problem,
council thinking about being efficient.
if you have a problem in the parish and you would like to bring it to a parish council meeting, you could potentially have to wait 2 months or go to a committee who would then potentially just use a reason to delay by referring it to the whole council. And I can't see us progressing things forward any faster than we do now, which is not very fast at all.
Hang on. if there's a problem brought to your attention, that should come to an officer and be sorted. Shouldn't have to wait to go to committee.
So we're going to change how we do things now.
If,
If a member of the public attends a parish council meeting,
yes,
to bring a problem up, to raise a concern with something, they will have to wait 2 months.
if a problem can be answered there and then, we will do. If we can't answer it,
Or
I mean,
it
we
can be
are
referred to the
only
committee.
obliged to have 4 meetings a year.
Okay.
I mean, this is,
And we can always call,
I
we can
put
always
this
call
idea
an additional meeting, because we would have.
I know what you're saying, and I was told, almost on the day we moved to the village, that we would never build a house on our land by a councillor, by a senior councillor. So it was more to do with what people wanted to achieve on the council than to whether the council was operating efficiently or not. No, there was a determination not to allow under any circumstances in our case, and it was quite successful so far.
Okay.
But hopefully the council's changed.
Well, certainly. I don't think the speed of doing anything has increased at all.
Well, that's, and again, maybe that's something we just need to monitor more carefully. No, the fact that we've got ongoing business now, you know, is listed for every meeting, we should be looking at that and
Well,
saying, well, that's been ongoing for
Lindsay and I have got changes to come
6 months.
Lindsay and I have got changes to come to this as well, which would fit in with it, that we've got a different layout, haven't we, to trial, which will come up next time. And the idea is that, like, a lot of the things that stall are things that the committees could take, you know, if they had the right powers, they could take forward without needing to. The idea would be that it would free up some of these long jams in the ongoing matters, because the committees would be meeting more frequently on a schedule, rather than the parish council.
And there might be matters that we simply can't solve. I mean, in terms of the doctor's surgery, I almost feel our best tactic is to have a public meeting, tell the village what we have experienced, and say, you know, we can't go on and on and on discussing this forever and ever. It's up to other people to take the necessary action. You know, maybe more publicity of what we are doing will help to make it clear what we can and what we can't do. We can't change
you
the
can't influence Dr. Lees.
But
well, we
as
try,
yet-
but
as
we've
yet.
tried and tried.
Our timetable so far is 10 a.m. and we're thinking about moving down to 5 a.m. We only have 10 council meetings a year. And if we go by this, then would we still not meet in December and still not meet in August?
We do meet, so we don't meet in January, but we could.
15 minutes.
In honesty, I'm more inclined to go with what John's saying. And that isn't that we need to create more scope for having committee meetings, is that we need more working party, like actual meetings and things, to then bring things back to the monthly parish council meeting and improve the efficiency in that. And that is something down to us as small groups as it is.
And that's what committees would be doing. That's what committees would be doing, and they would actually be able to take the decision then and there, whereas a working party can't take a decision and would have to wait till the next month to bring it back. So the idea is that if you're asking a group of people, a small group of people to meet, they might as well meet as a committee and take a decision. That's what Lindsay, that's why we sort of put it
But
forward.
then that works until someone disagrees with the decision made by others and we all have the equal vote. So if 4 people or 5 people from the council meet and decide to plough the rack field, then someone comes along and goes, I wouldn't have allowed my vote to say do that. Then what happens? No, it's a drastic situation, of course, I'm making light of it, but, you know.
That is delegated to the Rec Field Committee at the moment. The Rec Field Committee could take that decision, and the Parish Council has already delegated that authority.
Yes.
Yeah, it's majority voting. You know, hopefully we're intelligent enough and sensible enough not to do dark things like that.
I'm happy to miss a soccer team, chuck some tatties in there, you know.
Flog it
Well, we want
together.
more allotments, don't we?
So, I can completely see where your concerns are. I completely see the idea of keeping things as they are. I can also see what Lindsay and Claire are proposing there could potentially work quite well. I also need to say again, what is going on in this group, in this meetings now, is completely different to what was happening a year ago.
Yeah.
This, what committee that we have now, we've got the potential to really actually start making some progress if we all just stay here and stick it out. And it's whether or not we do actually need to change things. Because I do feel that we're getting somewhere. And I know everyone's saying, it's still taking us age to do things and everything, but I think the whole feeling that we've got here at the moment is way more efficient than it was previously in things. I think we've all started to get to know each other, we've started to work really nicely together and things. And I also think kind of this fear of what things were in the past, we potentially do need to move on with it, even though we're learning from it, and we can't forget what has happened previously. So I don't know, I'm still...
Well, there are two parts to this. One is the changing the number, and the other is a year's planning in advance.
Right.
I think that's a good option as planning, because I know myself, I've found myself getting confused when I've got meetings, it's been having to drop back through the emails and stuff to remember that.
Yes, I feel there is a need for the committees to meet more often and to do their job.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen. Well, it doesn't happen, but it is difficult for the committees to do their job when they only meet perhaps once every 6 months.
Could we not have a hybrid structure where we stick by the 10 meetings we have now, but do the forward planning, have more frequent subcommittee meetings that are set on dates where we know we can all do, put them in our diaries and actually make things move forward so that we're not completely throwing the baby out with the bathwater, that we're just moving slowly. If we find that that works and it is moving forward and things are moving faster, then we stay with the 10 meetings a year. If we find it's not, then we can still move towards your plan of halving the meetings and having even more.
One of the slight problem there, which I'm not sure how it will resolve itself, was switching some of the full council meetings, taking those dates for committee meetings.
The other thing is as well, about making sure the meetings go ahead, it's often and Lindsay's put on this on the list as well, it's increasing the membership of the committees because we've, some of our committees have only got 3 people, so if somebody sends in their apologies, it can't go ahead and then it's been cancelled for another month, 2 months, so that would help us with making
But
sure.
if you forward plan that and people knew when it was, unless the people are ill, fair enough. Yeah.
It's a bit easier to plan out. So.
Can you let one person finish, please? Thank you.
To me, part of the attraction would be that potentially we could get more of the public coming to meetings that are much more focused. I mean, at the moment, you come to a full parish council meeting, and how many items are there on the agenda there? 30 items or something. We rarely have a detailed discussion, and if we do, it's probably because a member of the public has asked a question at the beginning, and we have quite a long sort of listen and discussion about that. I think, some of I would like to see us debating some of the issues that the committees are focused on dealing with more fully and encouraging the public to come. And I think that will give us the results that the council can then fund and support and encourage and so on.
I feel that is asking for trouble, where you're saying let the committees do their job and then we'll look at it again.
No, I'm not saying that. No. I'm saying if you've got 10 meetings and 5 of them are full council meetings and 5 of them are, let's say, the 5 major committees, then those 5 meetings are much more focused on those areas of work that the committees are responsible for. And then, in a sense, the council approves the budget and does some other sort of high-level things, but the real work goes on among the group who say, we're interested in this, we want to take it forward. and can engage the public, and can get camera on and so on.
As a member of the public, I think it's a good idea. Just throw that out there.
So
As a member of the public, I think it's a good idea to at least try.
yeah, well, we're still struggling with that.
So to summarise, there's my original, we have the old secondary proposal that we make it a hybrid version. All those, can we have a show of hands for the hybrid version?
Well, we don't know what that is, we don't
No, I
know.
don't know.
It does part of the hybrid.
The hybrid is the full planning ahead. The proviso is that we are able to find enough bookings to
At the moment,
give all the committees.
so at the moment, I have provisionally booked the second Thursday of every month to be used by any committee. So for example, the 10th, this week we've got the Finance Committee. We've also got the rec field, which takes place on the third Thursday, so we have got lots of meetings penciled in that we could use, and they would just have to be shared out between the committees that wanted them.
Effectively, you could have every Thursday night in here.
But then it's whether people are willing to come out.
Well,
I've got other things
Yeah.
to do, apart from living a family life,
I think for me though,
such as it is.
the real committee that I sit on is the rec field committee, and that meets every 3 months anyway. And I wasn't even aware that the other committees weren't meeting with that frequency.
Which other full committees are you contemplating having more meetings with?
Property management,
Property
needs to
management,
get going.
finance.
Committee. The property management we get a lot done,
Biodiversity.
committee to biodiversity, which we need.
How often do the finance committee meet?
At the moment, just for the budget and as and when they're needed for other things.
It's
So that
probably,
definitely needs to be more often.
Some of the impression that the finance, or
speaking 2 or 3 times a year, I would have thought, as I've been on it, because we've met for other, not just the budget.
We've done the contracts, so we've been using the contracts.
Conference with, you know, but some of those things are almost a one-off, and some of them, you know, it's useful to have several meetings where people know when it's coming up and when they need to take action.
And the cemetery committee's got 4 meetings a year. And then you could have, you know, the committees could have, if there were working groups that needed slots, it would mean that there were slots available to them.
what's the issue with finding an alternative venue? To have a committee meeting, does it have to be done here?
They just be open to public.
Because obviously you could use the den, and when the bar's not open, it wouldn't serve alcohol, because that had connotations about that.
Licensed premises.
Well, yeah, but even for a committee meeting.
I think I would have to remember exactly what the rules say, but it does say that it shouldn't be in a premises licensed for the sale of alcohol unless there's no other option.
Right.
There is a long room, but that is
Also licensed. Also licensed.
Yeah.
As is here.
As is the village.
It opens things up and
But
it's critical in cost, and I
if-
think it's not.
If a committee can meet in a licensed premises, you could use the den on a Monday night whenever you want. If that fits in with anybody's timetable. But getting back to this problem, I'm not going to stand in the way of trialling something different, but I just think, well, several things.
I quite take your point about paying due bills. That has got, that's paramount. Somehow we've got to work around that.
We just need to look
anyway,
exactly how, the financial regulations and.
on that.
I just feel that with the current kind of climate, with everything that we're dealing with at the moment, we still need to sit here once a month. And I think until we might get a load of things ticked off that list and find ourselves in a more stable situation where we don't have the requirement to do it and we can ease off on that slightly. But I don't think it's going to increase efficiency of things. It's not at the moment. And I've completely changed my mind about that over the course of this meeting. So I'm all like, yes, let's get it down, above it, but I just don't think we're there at the moment.
continue as we are and review in 6 months.
And are you, is
I
that a hand?
I had a statement I was going to make, and then Gemma sort of like took it away.
Sorry.
I think if nothing else, if we can get the subgroups working quickly and moving things forward, even if it comes back to Parish Council every month, these meetings will be shorter
Yes.
because we've got movement going forward, and it will give us all that feeling of, oh, we're not going to have to stay beyond 9:15 again. Not that I don't like you all, but
Can I offer another possible idea that we'll have a big list of things on this agenda, but stuff like Felton surgery, if there's nothing to update, is there any point in being on here?
Well,
The trouble is,
Because surely that's just an ongoing matter.
it is, if it's, but we need it, it has to be on the agenda to take a decision, so that's why it's sort of sitting there, because we could get something in, and what I don't want is to like, not put it on the agenda, publish that, and then like 3 days later, get something in that we needed to make a decision on, and we miss a whole month. So that's why those, but they could be sitting at the end, they could all be sitting at the end.
We can make a decision that we're going to stop having the same conversation about heart surgery every time we sit here. And then we just say, is there anything to report on it, or any actions to be taken? And if there's not, we just
Move straight to
Yeah.
move on.
I don't know whether the hybrid proposal is do what we're doing now, but planning grant.
Yes,
I think it's
Sounds a bit like
and
that.
increased small, you know,
Yeah.
But I would like, I mean, for me personally, I'd need to have a map of how many meetings I'm expected to attend each month. Because I just haven't got time to keep on adding more. I'll have to give up something. Because I just haven't got
this
time.
is one of the background things in my mind, we give up, parish council, we give up full meeting time for committee time.
Yeah, no, that's what I understood. And I would be in favour of that.
In this hybrid model, could we have it, well, as I say, keep the regular parish meetings, the working groups, but we do that, increase the working groups to 4 people or 5 people to then allow a better chance of those meetings to go ahead and then schedule them out properly, so that we have a detail of when we all are.
And it did make a difference when we scheduled, the rec field used to be a bit difficult to schedule, and then we got ourselves a regular slot, and it made a huge difference. I know we missed a couple over the summer with this one where we recall it, and then with the Queen's Death, but apart from that, it has been much, I feel like we've had much more rec field meetings. So let's go for it.
Just the extra nominees, to bring them up to 5 people, where are they going to come from? Or we all going to join more committee?
Yes.
Yeah.
well, that's the
In which case we're doing more again.
Yeah.
True, but it is a regular thing. Committee meetings have failed because we're not quorum.
Yes.
I think the other thing is that we've touched on this before about utilising the skill set that we have within Parish Council. And, you know, I can talk and have ideas, but I'm not really that good at anything else. But there are other people here that do have phenomenal skills that they can apply to committees and things. I'm not sure if previously we've utilised those skill sets to their full advantage and things. And I think we need to make sure that everyone that sits on the committee is bringing something to the table and that their time is used efficiently and whatnot. I'm not entirely sure how to go about that, but it's making sure that we've got knowledge on the subject, and that, you know, I think we've put down about additional training and things as well, so that that time is used efficiently and that those bodies are used efficiently as well on each of those committees. If that makes any sense.
It does, if we've got skill sets to bring.
Yeah. But as I said before, we've had a massive shift in the, you know, population on the Parish Council.
Right. Are we in favour of not taking up my proposal as it stands, my original proposal?
Well, I am
Yes, we
in
are.
favour of it. You can take a vote if you like.
Yes, that's, those, show of hands please.
We're going to go on his own.
I'm going to get my heading here. I've had a long weekend. Those in favour of keeping my proposal as original?
Can I remember the public say? I think the public would be aghast. You're all volunteers. You volunteered for being parish councillors and you were meeting 10 times a year. I think it was, what, perhaps 11. And now you want to lessen your load.
No, they're going to increase it because they want to have the committee meetings as well. So they have the council meetings only 10, but they've got all committees
Well,
have to attend them. So they're actually looking to increase it and do more because they don't do enough committee meetings.
Well, then the people in this parish do not understand what is going on. They've got a very low opinion now of the parish council. In fact, I came along tonight to see what does go on.
Okay.
I think having volunteered, you should stick with the thing, not to make life easier for yourselves. You know,
The secondary proposal then is that we keep the parish council calendar as is, and we build a calendar for the coming year, and we apportion committee meetings on a regular basis where we can.
That's the hybrid one.
All those in favour? One against.
Well, I'm going to abstain. But was going to add one further thing to what we're going to do, which is the question of who's going to populate the committees, if we're going to increase the numbers on committees, needs to be addressed, because I need to know whether I'm talking about 4 meetings a month, 3 meetings a month, 2 meetings a month.
Well, indeed.
And then I can let you know whether I can do that. You know, and I would much rather be using the skill set I have in a focused way than sitting in on a committee, you know, where I don't really have a great deal of interest, but I'm making up the numbers.
Then why sit there?
Exactly.
Anyway. Right, committees and working groups. Item 9A. Now, my original thought here was to increase the number of regular councillors to avoid the situation of not being quorate. We have the substitute members who generally seem to be sort of loitering in the wings, waiting to be called if necessary. Is that true?
That'd be fair, yeah.
Well, if the substitute members act as full members, in fact, then we're not changing anything.
I don't have a print out of it. Lindsay was saying it.
Out of date. So if we
Do we
just,
need to recap memberships then?
Okay.
sorry,
Do we need to recap who's on board?
Okay.
Have you got copies of that?
No, because it needs updating. But biodiversity, we've got biodiversity is councillors Cuthbert, Evans, and Walton, and then John, you're a substitute. And then we've got
Co-opted.
2 non-councillor co-opted members. So I think that one probably
not
is.
co-opted.
They're co-opted on, yeah.
Who are the 2?
Mrs. Kazosia and Mr. Winter.
Mrs.
Mrs. Kazosia
Okay.
and Mr. Winter.
Have they met? Biodiversity group met?
They've had a meeting.
Cemetery? No.
Cemetery, we've got Councillor Walton and Councillor MacDonald and yourself as a substitute. We can't amend that without going to the other councils about membership because that's set by
Yeah.
the committee. Finance, we've got Councillor Blackburn, Councillor Evans, Councillor MacDonald, and then Councillor Cuthbert substitute.
But that's only going to make 4, not 5.
Well, we have at the moment yourself and
Of course.
Lindsay are on while the employment contract's happening, and I guess they can just decide whether that continues. Retfield, we've got plenty. Are you co-opted on, or are you just an attendee?
Just can't be attended.
So he could.
Property management.
Property management. It's John, Chris, Adam, and then Ian, you're a substitute. Do you want to just be, happily come on to that one? So I think as long as, I think if there was at least 4 on each one, that would mean that if somebody puts in an apology, you can go ahead, because you need 3.
It also means that as a substitute, you're not going into something
Blind.
Mhm.
So I did that on the cemetery for a few weekends, it was quite difficult.
Just one thing really, I generally feel with flexibility of meeting time, just to let, for instance, if it were a Thursday at 19:30 starts were more acceptable,
Yeah.
that'd be fine. Just if it's earlier than that, it's just been like finishing up.
He wants to start 7:30 if it's a Thursday
Sorry.
meeting.
Yeah, 7:30 if the Thursday meetings basically would be helping to be able to attend.
So I think what we're saying is that.
Quick round the table on that, 7:30.
Absolutely.
I think what we're saying is we're going to make the substitute members full members on each
Yes.
committee, and that will bring us up to at least 4 on each one.
Expect the 4 to turn up.
And how many working groups are there?
5.
5, but 3 of them are linked. There's the lay-by, oval and Southview one, which are all sort of really dealing with parking issues around that area, aren't they? And then there's the contracts working group and the policy review group. We could probably do with a couple more members on.
That's the other ones.
Isn't policy, on the policy reviews, which one is it where we can all be called on? Is that
That's the complaints.
Chairman, can I just ask a question? Where does the lawn mowing come in? Does that come in with the cemetery committee?
Yes.
So do we approve these? All
All
moving.
movements with less set by.
Yeah.
All happy that we alter the terms of reference? All those in favour?
Just
I'm
say
just going to
4.
stay because it's not true.
Do you want some coffee? Right, additional council. To receive minutes for committee meetings since the date of the last meeting.
So this was following Anne's proposal last time. I thought I'd just put them in with everything else, so you've got the minutes.
Yeah.
So I think they're just to be received because the committees haven't met. Those haven't been approved yet by the committees themselves.
D, to receive other updates from committees and working group on matters and actions since the date of the last parish council.
Cemetery, we've had a meeting and we've got all the things in place where we can remember them Sunday next week. Weeks are ordered, we've got the leaflets sorted out, the PA is all sorted, and I think being paid, hasn't it? What? The man from the PA is being paid.
Oh, he hasn't yet, but he will. He sends it out. He takes a long time to produce the invoice. I think I've only recently paid the last one. That's what I mean.
And we were talking about becoming like a bench to have in the cemetery so that people could put little plaques on if they so desired. Another one for your list, I'm sorry.
It's not there
But
yet.
we haven't made a decision as to what, how,
Because I stupidly showed Anne the photo. So I was like, oh, here's a lovely photo of a bench that's got plaques on, so you can multiple plaques on, because it's hard to find one with a picture of it. And it's lovely, but it's around the tree bench. Anne says, oh, I really like that. So now she's like throwing a spanner in the works.
So I'm going to go and look at things to see what put on that. And the waste disposal thing we talked about, having a notice for
Yeah.
people on the bin. And we did consider doing some sort of little housing to hold the wee bins in. So that
Just because when the
When
wind's
the
from a
weather's
long
not
way,
good,
it
yeah.
blows over. property manager, do you want to provide a little update on your jaunt?
We had a walk around the village. I spent 4 hours walking around the village, locating assets, and I think we've probably spent an extra hour, spotting an extra 2.
We're out as far as the A1 in every direction. We've found a big list of things to do. We're compiling a new asset register with up-to-date pictures and a brief description of what is necessary to bring them back up to scratch. But the glaringly obvious thing is that there has to be a caretaker maintenance plan made because quite a lot of the village assets are deteriorating rapidly. For instance, 2 of the oak pots were replaced on the bridge, but the rest of them are pretty knackered. Just about every bench, bar the plastic composite ones, needs serious maintenance. There's some unsafe areas around one memorial, for instance. It's slippy underfoot. There's could be a lot of power washing to be done. Just about every grit bin in the village is knackered. Half of them are empty. I know it's not up to us to fill them up and stuff like that, but some of them are probably deemed unusable. Park benches out in the outlying areas, like out by the church and stuff like are treacherous to try and get to because of vehicles parking on verges and stuff. The bus shelter, the plastic bus shelter at the top of the road beside Acton, looks like it's been hit by a car. It's definitely, well, it looks to us like it's going to be an insurance job to fix because the aluminium posts bent beyond repair, the glass is smashed,
Is that the
perspex is deteriorated.
Because it was-
That's the one that's already been.
It looks as though it'd been hit by something over a year
It was
ago.
bent.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID. Is the glass gone?
The glass is gone, yeah, it's been tidied up.
The big panel.
Smashed, the side panel.
Yeah, the big side panel, the main side panel, that's the second accident then.
The top part's complete, the bottom half is gone. It's like split
Yes.
stuff, isn't it?
The bottom half was tidied up. I know, because I swept it up about 3 years ago.
But the paint's still missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's
Cross brace. Cross brace is just lying there. Aluminium cross brace.
it's like there's been a second clout then.
Yeah. So because it's obviously a sharp object, we've taken it away. There was a piece of rubber and the piece of aluminium we just took away while we were there. We'll have a look at the stone bus shelters, all of which need the wood treating. There needs to be a plan for the growth of the hedges behind them, chopping back or whatever. Identification of who owns the hedges is probably needs to be done first. Because there's quite a lot of cutting back to be done at the one that's just been repaired on the north of Acton Junction, the one that was damaged.
Yeah, I know all about clearing that one.
Well, interesting, but
Yeah.
we went down to had a walk around the rec field. There was a resident notified us that there were holes would look like they were made by the goalposts, but potentially they aren't made by the goalposts, but there's some fairly large holes in the field which will need filling in. This is a potential hazard. And we're just generally having a look around the village for things that would be deemed as unsafe and unserviceable. So we've got a big list and we'll get compiled and we'll come with an action plan of stuff that needs doing, stuff that can wait and stuff that's okay.
So we'll have an action plan by next meeting.
So, yeah, it is a big list.
The big list, a lot of full-time job.
At least a report of the topics.
Yeah.
And triage it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was 4 hours.
Yeah,
4
thank you
hours,
so
yeah.
much.
The rec
Find
field,
it when new.
We found a few things that weren't on the list, yeah.
the rec field, the play park is in reasonable repair, apart from some of the fences that are repaired as we go. The mugger is scruffy but functional. The the surface is poor. We are looking into ways and means of doing something about it. One lighting column is dead, still saving money. The new grass cutting contracts and weed spraying has helped around the outer edges of the Mugger. The rec field, we hope to do something about the mole hills, don't we?
I've spoken to you.
Field drains, works still outstanding. The facilities building, the Scouts have expressed a serious interest in taking the building as theirs, where basically we would lease the land, the building would be theirs, and they would make facilities available for the parish. An initial talk to Stephen Hodges,
Stephen
Hogg, he was prepared to take the whole building scheme forward as a Scout project, but that seems to be backpedaling a bit now.
I think generally it's because it needs to be the landowners that put the application in.
Well, anyway, we'll keep trying to push that forward.
There's going to be the rec field set up a working group to look at it first.
Yeah. The play park regeneration.
Yeah, it's well, the rec field regeneration project as a whole, we've got progress with it. We've got funding applications that are going in. We've definitely got progress there, so things are happening behind the scenes with it, and we're feeling quite, well, with anything, with the current political climate, we're feeling, as positive as we can do about it, and we're looking at different options with that. So yeah, that is all going to plan with the schedule that was put forward previously. So yeah,
Things are happening. Good. Any other committee meetings? Standing item, parish representation. We had the NALC, Northumberland NALC annual meeting at the village hall some weeks ago. We heard from County Councillor Sanderson and then Rob Murphy. The former spoke briefly but stated that he was happy to come along to talk at a PC meeting. Rob Murphy spoke at considerable length to extol both his new customer charter directive for NCC planning departments, which would require them to respond to emails within 3 days. Not necessarily a full answer, but at least respond. Also how valuable neighbourhood plans are when making decisions, although planning inspectors do their own thing anyway. He also said that the S106 methodology was changing from estimated total sales value to a basic land area tariff. And also there was concern within the county about how affordable housing was allocated and that better letting policies were needed. Those were the main items of interest in the county.
We did say that we would revive the neighbourhood planning group, so your remarks sounded slightly dismissive. But Rob Murphy, who's the director for planning,
yes,
county, says they're very valuable. So I can't imagine planning officers ignoring them.
I have a personal cynicism. I'm no reason why that neighbourhood planning people should.
But well, the point I was going to make is that's another committee to add to the list. And I think we had a discussion about who was interested several meetings ago.
If
was several meetings ago.
all we need as council was to put it on the agenda and
Well,
I'll email round and get some interest. Find out.
we need to put it on the schedule of meetings.
I think initially what we need to do is have a meeting like a sort of open meeting to see if there's also some public interest in taking it forward, because I think otherwise you're relying on one or two councils doing it, which won't be.
There's a lot of funding available for it.
There's a lot of funding available.
Okay, to nominate a member to join the village hall committee and become a trustee of the charity.
I think I sent around the information. This is because the village hall committee is has part of their constitution. They are obliged to invite us if we'd like to appoint someone to them. Although we have, Councillor Walton is actually in her own right a member of the committee and was so before she became a councillor. But they felt that because she'd already been on the committee, it didn't count as a council
I
nomination.
wasn't nominated.
But we could nominate. There's nothing to say.
I nominate. Oh, thanks.
Well done.
Is that all right?
I think they're hoping to get another body.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to come along, they'd be very welcome.
Do we have a volunteer?
Okay,
I'm sure that if anybody would like to go and see what it's like for the commit, Anne would happily take you with them.
Just don't volunteer to do the minutes.
Are we nominating Anne as our official representative of the meeting?
I think that's an efficient use of the skill set.
Opposed? Seconded.
What if I don't want to be in?
Too late.
Standing item update from Northumbria Police.
They've sent their apologies to say they were hoping to come tonight, but operational demands has prevented them, but they are on duty on the night of the December meeting and will hopefully be able to pop along then instead. In the meantime, they say there have been no crimes reported in the Felton area between the 1st of the 9th 22 and the 7th of the 11th 22, which would have a wider community impact. Residents have been encouraged to report suspicious activity or antisocial behaviour via 101. Officers will continue to provide enhanced visible patrols in the village. They've sent us the same information they've previously sent about Operation Checkpoint, so I won't read that again. Operation Checkpoint was in September, so we've been told about it previously. It was a big multi-force operation. I'll tell you exactly. Yeah, supported by various different Environment Agency officials. They stopped 28 vehicles and there was a couple of arrests. Northumberland, there was a suspicious vehicle reported on the 5th of November, a silver Subaru with 4 males and lurch dogs in the rear heading northbound by Alex, suspected to be poachers. So there you go.
No crimes except parking on the pavement.
I was just about to make that point, is could when we put it on the agenda to discuss with the police about parking and road safety within the village.
Jim? Was the 4th of November when there was a lot of helicopter noise in the middle of the night?
Yes.
Last Saturday night, Sunday morning, there was a helicopter over the village for hours, and there was police. Saturday before, there was police up at the bottom bank at the south road there.
Right. And then, I can't remember which night it was, might have been Friday, there were 3 or 4 police cars with their lights flashing.
There's a broken down car on Main Street.
It was just broken down, was it?
Yeah. So we can bring it from what the whole road is.
Well, the police cars blocked the road as well. Their lights, no
So that's all. I mean, they just say no crimes with a wider community impact. So presumably whatever they were doing on that Saturday night, they don't feel was
They
wider
certainly weren't
community
going
impact.
down Main Street. It was blocked. Okay.
Thank you. Round at Riverside.
I finally managed to speak to Natural England. I know, how exciting. The man did apologise for the delay in contacting us. He's new in the role. He's being mentored through various files at the moment. He had a question. He said he doesn't see any problem with our plans, especially because it's like for like, but he had a question about tannalised timber, which I couldn't immediately, I felt like I knew the answer, but I couldn't immediately definitely tell him it. He's saying something about the procedure for creating tannalised timber. There's 2 different procedures, one of which uses harmful chemicals, one of which doesn't. and he was looking for assurance that the timber wouldn't leach chemicals, basically.
If the timber was bought from a near timber supplier, then it would be all ALC approved.
That's what I said. That's what I said. That's what I said. So I'm happy to go back to him and say that I'll confirm that we're definitely buying new timber. I'll check with the joiner and say that, and then we can go back and say it's new timber, so therefore it'll be approved. ASC approved.
Yeah, but the joiner that's doing it could just tell him that he has to be wary of that. It's quite an easy thing to work around.
Yeah. Because that's what so that sounds like he's also, if I can confirm that, he can come straight back to us, so it should be finally resolved.
Part of our walk around on Sunday, we went down there for a look, and the vegetation's obviously been allowed to grow, so when it actually comes to doing the job, there's going to be a fairly comprehensive tidy up needs to happen down there. After the ramp's finished, it would be good to get clarity as what we're allowed to do.
Cut and not remove.
Fair enough. It's because it's tidying up. It wouldn't be extreme works. It's just there's a lot of where the silt and sand's gathered could be raked a little bit, and there's a bit of vegetation needs chopped back. But it's nettles and
Go
vines.
to the list of operations which require consent and read through it. It's 2 or 3 pages long.
Right.
There's a tree.
No power.
There is a tree, particularly dangerous tree, resting on the path.
It's hovering above the path.
Yeah. Well, as I walked under, there was a branch fell off. Inches.
A small
So
drop in
what
there.
you're saying is we would need to get that removed
Right.
before we could,
Yeah.
or taken down.
I didn't even look at it.
It's a bad sign, John.
But that ramp is
Yeah, worse.
really bad.
Yeah, that's what I said to them.
Can we? Is there any way we can start works on this?
I think as soon as I can send it, I only spoke to him today, he rang me back today finally, just in time, which was great, and he said as long as I get him that approval, he'll come back to me as soon as possible, play it straight away.
You can sign it to the boards.
Budget's approved, is it?
Yeah.
So after he gives you the go-ahead, can we
Just go
instruct the
straight
joiner?
away.
Give you a contract signed.
Right, grand. Yes.
Yes. Let's not celebrate just yet, she starts out with, there'll be another question, I'm sure there'll be another question, yeah.
Red phone box.
Right. A week last Monday when I met the traffic warden, I was also talking to Esher Airfield at the phone box. Richard Pike and one of his employees came and had a fairly good, a good walk around and a good look at the phone box. And they want to remove the phone box for approximately 6 weeks to take it back up to their base and sandblast it. There was they look like they've done a thorough investigation about what needs to be done, and I explained that it has to be, proper restoration back to the right colour and the right coat of paint, and they know what they're taking on, or they seem to know what they're taking on when it comes to replacing the glass with the correct stuff and using the right type of brass fittings and new hinges and things. They did ask a few questions. They said the info area inside the box, if they made a like-for-like replacement with, well, they use the word better materials, but like-for-like replacement with wood, newer wood, yeah, that would be all right, but they would sort of consult with us while they were doing it. The questions they raised was, it looks as if the floor of the phone box has been concreted in place. I wasn't around in them days, but I reckon the red phone boxes used to have a wooden base. This one has a concrete base, it's potentially been concreted into place. I said I would come back and ask questions about the electric supply, and if anyone knows how it's actually fixed to the bridge. The company that we talked to, the British Bits company, they give us a method statement of how to liberate it from the ground if it's been put in the way that they used to be installed, and it's a case of removing the glass and craning it straight up and onto a machine or a trailer away, and that would be Esher Airfield's way of attack. but they asked for approval to test drill the concrete inside and also remove the red armoured panelling to see if there was any power going to the light still, and if there was still power going there, would we get an electrician to come and remove the power? What we need to consider is, this is me talking, not them, what we need to consider is when they remove the phone box, you could potentially be left with a hole, whether we cool the area off or put a flower pot over there or Harris fencing around it. It's entirely up to you guys, but so the two questions
Like
we asked.
steel plate at these on the road.
Yeah, like a road plate or something like
Could
that.
it be tarmacked and tamped down? Technically, because it's
Well, it would,
No,
easy to
because the
remove after.
bridge surface is listed.
Hmm?
The bridge surface is listed.
If
So you
it's
couldn't tarmac in
semi-temporary.
it, even if you tarmac in it, you would be in trouble in Sheridan.
Far easier to just put a lamp on it.
Well, I think we just put
Or a metal plate
or
on
plant pot on top.
Probably with a metal plate, it's an uneven surface.
Yeah.
You're gonna have
And
a strip
yeah.
hazard.
If we get
Well,
something
plant
that
pot on
doesn't
it,
over.
It's not a trip hazard
Yeah.
anymore.
Especially if you're talking having to buy new replacement panels with one side in there, so
Yeah.
it's an extra one that can then, once
Yeah.
the blocks back in place, it can be redistributed.
so
Yeah, we try it.
we need to, I explained that if they came down to do their investigation, i.e. remove the pipe and drill the concrete floor, if they then decided not to do the restoration, that they have to make right what they did.
Yeah.
They said that they weren't going to shy away from doing the restoration, they just wanted to have an initial site visit, just so they knew what machinery to bring.
What is the financial arrangement?
It's not going to cost the Parish Council a penny. They've offered to fund the whole project. I asked if I could have that in writing. He said that he has already sent it in an email, but they're going into it with their eyes open, and any extra expense will be funded by them.
Are they an independent business, or is he part of the airfield establishment?
He's the manager of the airfield. So, Richard Pike, Sam Woodgate are the managers of the airfield, along with Richard Starr.
There have been bad feelings between the airfield and neighbours, and are we stepping into something?
Can you explain? I understand exactly what you're saying, but what are you asking?
Could they hold this over us? Well, although once it's done, it's done.
I would have thought they're doing it more as a bridge to the community than something that would
Yeah.
be blackmail.
Yeah, I just want to ask all the devil's advocate questions at this point.
I think if it was known that we'd spent £3,000 or whatever it was going to be to get it replaced when somebody was offering to do the job for nothing, we'd have adversity on our side from our constituents.
And every business in the village is going to have someone who's up against them.
Oh, it is, yeah. But I think that this particular business has made attempts at trying to make connections with us, the Parish Council, previously. And I think this is another, that they want to be seen as being community spirited, which I do think that they are, despite anything that may have gone on between them and their neighbours previously. And I think that this is a genuine gesture of them doing something for the local community and wanting to be involved with us. I think there's very much this kind of borderline between Felton Parish Council, Thurston Parish Council, whose responsibility is what, who gets involved with what. And I really dislike that. And I think, that we are as a community as a whole, I think, it's, we need to, embrace it.
I agree totally, but I just think the council ought to be clear that whilst they're very grateful for this offer, and I think we probably should accept it if it's free, it doesn't behold the council to approve any future, doesn't behold them, doesn't make them, yes.
The beauty of it is, as Felton Parish Council has said, is that we're not responsible for
Yeah.
them. And we don't, as Felton Parish Council, they are, they are on the other side of the line
And I think that was it, you know, we're in quite a safe place there to be politically neutral. You know, obviously if it's something that's affecting Felton, then we take action on it and things. But I think in this circumstances that they have a field of expertise, they have the facilities to do it, they have the will to do it for us for free, and I think that we should accept it graciously.
All those in favour? We proceed.
So to start with, we're giving them the authority to start with to do the test drill and removal of the base that they need to check, which they'll make good if it's not possible to continue. And if, assuming that those tests are satisfactory, we're also approving them getting on with work.
And an electrician.
Yes, there is a potential for the need of an electrician to sever a connection.
Do they need a street licence from Northumberland County Council? A street works licence?
It depends, I think, how far it is from the highway, so they might have to measure it up, and I can check that with the county council.
It's a very valid point. We'll have a look.
You have to look into that, John.
Right, any further?
The question I'd have around the work is timing, and with Felton, cars on the bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we need to avoid that, and then we see
So
avoid Calvary, and then there's going to be other people that utilise the bridge that will need to be informed of it as well, such as the plant sales are on the bridge.
That's
Honestly,
why I want to
Calvary,
put plants on it, so it doesn't anyone
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
just get on with the lines.
That's the thing.
They come in, they take it away, we've got a black pot then.
The
it's
Christmas,
no.
the Christmas tree plant pot needs to be
Probably
removed.
can't move.
No, as in needs to be replaced. What I mean is, you could buy a replacement for that, like you say, buy a replacement for that, where the phone box was, and then once the phone box is done, move that into the place where the
Fair.
fair do. So yeah, this is the
It
thing.
is in dire need of
Oh,
replacement.
yeah.
It may not be the Christmas tree,
And it's got about this much concrete in the bottom.
That's what I mean is, we could put the new.
It's nice and heavy then.
But if we were prepared to buy a new one to put there, it could get moved.
Do we happen to know if the fair are thinking of buying a new pot for the Christmas
I
tree?
think they have, we've got a meeting on Wednesday night, I think there's some legal works.
Well,
So,
do you think you could take it to the meeting
I
as a
certainly
suggestion,
will take it to the meeting rest.
and then we could... Thank you.
right. Jubilee tree, item 14.
Yes, got moving on.
Yes, we took a step forward. We've hopefully visited the correct location, and we have an X marks the spot between the three of us. Now, well, if you can squint your eye to the horizon, in between the entrance to Coker Park and the loop, there is a big tree and a lamppost. And Chris makes a very valid point. We've not been in too close to that tree, not been too close to the lamppost, not been too close to the footpath for overhanging branches in the future, etc., etc. And there looks to be a perfect place. It's not particular. There's been a lot of rain. It's not particularly boggy, and I think that would be.
And there was a tree there before which blew down in Melbourne, I think, a small sapling.
Yeah,
So we would like to put it there.
yes, yes.
I think the planning board to say this is all it or it was the Jubilee tree or whatever.
There will be a plaque on it, yeah. Because when I was standing on the field, I was looking as to where the wiring might be for the street lights. I would suggest it gets dug in by hand.
The street lights, well, the further street light was dug in fairly parallel to the edge of the road.
I might have a map. I can't promise, but I might have a plan.
Right, if you can have a look for that, that'd be great.
As somebody who's recently dug and found services,
Oh, so are you offering to dig it over?
That's where we've got to see too much for our gas.
I just tapped into it, just smash it.
Claire should have that, because it came with the,
It came with a link, didn't it?
came with the stuff. You should have the link for all the services, don't you?
Yeah, I think I've got.
from Bellway when they did it.
Yeah, I think I've got.
Beware, when they were digging up in that area, they did cut through the telephone thing and disrupted everything in the internet.
I think hence the reason that's probably a good idea to do for the hand.
There was definitely a link though that we had,
Somewhere in one of those things. I think I've seen it, yeah. I'll
that
have a look.
has all those services mapped.
Who puts the street lights in? County Council?
Yeah, County
Well,
Council.
you can ask for a map of the wiring, the underground wiring.
Don't trust it.
Well, that's like,
Well, that'll be the one, yeah.
That'll be the one we've probably got the link.
yeah.
Okay. 15, benches.
Well, we've got 15 benches.
24.
More than that, 24.
There's more than that. I can tell you there's more.
That was just my list of lockdown things.
Gemma?
So, Suzanne Beddoe spoke to Terry, who's going to do some work here. He said he's willing to do the restoration of benches out the front here, so it's a day and a half work. He's given us a quote for a work plus stain, which comes in £150 for the work, but it does not cost the stain. He has suggested that we wait until the spring weather comes, because doing it in the winter is going to be pointless. I also spoke to George, who also does some odd jobs and whatnot around the village. He said he'd be willing to do the work. It would be February at the earliest, and I think his daily rate is the same as Terry's regarding the work. But I would, if I've had him to work in my house before, but I will get that clarified. I get the feeling that Terry was more keen on taking the work on than what George was. George was more trying to squeeze it into his schedule. So we can decide whether or not we're going to go with that.
Would we be able to kind of expand it a bit and say,
Well,
what would it look like if it was 15 benches?
definitely asking, yes.
The thing is, on our little walk around the benches,
We just,
every single
How-
one, apart from the plastic
Well, we
ones.
need
Yeah.
to check, somebody needs to have a conversation with the volunteer that we've got that has done them previously, because I wouldn't want to tread on toes. Equally, it might be that he would be really, we don't know, he might be relieved to not have to do that anymore, because he did them last year, I think, but it took him a long time to do them.
Are you just talking about those ones?
The ones,
Or-
well, the ones down Main Street, so he did sort of like that clustered, so the one outside the Culprit's house, Scotty Rob one, the one down at the bottom of the Running Fox, I think there's about 4 or 5.
are there any that are actually replacing at the moment?
The one down by the War Memorial is
Right.
serious. Well, sorry, if you're looking at the War Memorial, the one on the right is much worse than the one on the left. It's really bad.
Right.
That's loose.
As we already have some plastic benches in the village, would it be a good policy for us to take on that we replace any that need to be replaced with the plastic, with it being the environmentally friendly recycled plastic, and that we go down that route rather than continuing to try to maintain old wooden benches?
It's what we've done with the last few,
Yeah.
being plastic ones we put in, because we did the one at, we got the one at Windy Gap, and we got a donation for it,
Yeah.
and that's plastic one.
Some time ago, I think I was on the council then, so it can't be all that long. There was, sorry, I've got that, a suggestion that we might buy a Tommy bench or memorial, which is a war memorial itself. They've got one in Almouth outside the RAF or the
Yeah, I think
Women's Club.
I think
And when-
Barbara mentioned not the benches, she had sort of put on the agenda at some point one of those like standing
Yeah,
silhouettes, and then it sort of
Okay,
didn't
well-
get progressed, but
I was just asking a question. The benches are really attractive. I think they're very nice. And at the war memorial, it would be quite nice to put 2 of those. You know, they can probably be left and right hand.
More appropriate than plastic.
It costs some money.
Yeah.
More appropriate than plastic.
Yeah, I
Are
think
they
they're
like raw iron ones?
What-
they're
yeah.
steel colours.
we need to also also consider what we do about the fact that the majority of the wooden benches have got plaques, or some of them are actually, the ones out there are actually carved into the back of the seat, so it's not, I guess we have to maybe decide what we do about transferring those. If we
Question
as
is,
we
do
replace.
we need to replace a bench just because it's broken? Can we, or can we throw it away? Can we throw it away?
Depends
I
where it is.
think
I think a lot of them get used.
I think it's really sad for them to go.
I I agree with once the bench is beyond its safe use.
Well, the one up by the A1 with the underpass, or that anyone uses.
Oh, I've seen lots of
Have
people.
you?
In the go, you sit down.
Okay.
If you climbed up that bit, you need to sit at the top.
I listen to breath of fresh air, but you can't hear a damn thing due to the noise of
If
the
you carry on along that route, there's also a single.
the
That's
wind
on my
bells.
list.
Yeah, that's on my list.
That's quite dangerous, that's really high, it's really high. I think the grounds are eroded at the bottom, which begs the question how much is left in, securing the
And if
bench.
you tip off the front of it, it gets some momentum off you straight on.
Oh, that ravine, it's really steep. Yeah.
That was a fair one as well.
Question
Years ago.
for the inspectors. Are any of, were any of these private donations? And in that case, we ought to ask the families, whatever, that
We did ask,
Offer and being
we
charged
did,
that.
well, we did ask this question before, and I put something in the fridge, and I didn't get any, the only response I got was the volunteer saying, I look after these benches, but he was saying he volunteered to paint them rather than they were his benches. We tried to trace the owners of the benches out the front of here. I think Barbara had some success, but it wasn't clear entirely that, yeah.
I think those families completely died out.
Jim, excuse me, please. I think it's a question we have to be very careful with. We don't want somebody turning round in a year's time and saying, oi, what's happened to the bench we supplied?
But this is
Well,
this is the
I
problem.
would disagree with you respectfully, Mr Chairman. It has been advertised on the bridge, and we discussed this for several meetings. It was advertised on the bridge, there was no response. If somebody turns up in a year's time and says what's happened to the bench, we will simply say, well, did you look after
What we
it?
maybe do is, you know, a similar thing to where
You
people
tell us
have to
what
replace war memorials and things, graves. Why don't we put, you know, if you've identified a bench as needing replacing rather than repair work, we've got a notice on the bench, we leave it there for a certain amount of time. If nobody's got in touch with us in 2 months, then they don't visit it, you know.
It would
Yeah.
be very sad if someone came back in 10 years' time to sit on their
Granddad's
bench and it wasn't there. However, if there's a plaque on it, we can move it. If it's engraved into the back of it, we can remove that bit of the bench and we can plant it into the flower bed behind it or have it instilled onto the top of the next bench. But there's things that we can do around it. We don't need to have something that's not safe, which is costly to maintain and isn't functional to stay there over, you know, at the risk of, you know, upset and so on. We can go, as long as we can be seen to have, you know, asked for information on it and things, given notice for it and gone to lengths to try to maintain any features, then I think we could, you know, we have to take action on it.
I propose that the property management group writes up a procedure for dealing with dodgy benches.
Comments from the public?
And
When they put the article in the bridge, we didn't have anywhere near schools that was on this list.
No, I
We
think
talked
we've
about
got,
the ones in the village.
I think we've
So
got,
we have proposed that we put something in the bridge to say these are the benches. There's certainly the
No,
ones
well, that's-
outside church.
that's out of date already, Anne, because this is a pre-found law as well.
There's two names listed in the bridge.
But I was just thinking the one outside Garden House, that one definitely is owned by somebody else.
Outside which one?
The one by Garden
Garden
House on the
House.
church bank, the Swaggers one. That's definitely in memorial of somebody and they.
Well, do the Newits know who it belongs to?
It might do, it might be worth asking. Scotty Bob's, I'm sure was a Parish Council one, put in.
But I think the other
This
thing,
one that was previously
I
there.
think the other thing that would be useful is if people are putting new benches in, that we're very clear that it is handed over straight away to Parish Council ownership, because otherwise we can, or, you know, because otherwise we have this problem, we're going to have this problem regularly that we have to try and trace owners who perhaps moved and haven't updated their details.
If I may, there's a number of these seats that were donated by the families to the parish council. Those families got no ownership of those seats whatsoever. These two outside the village hall, that family died out years ago. The one in the cemetery, I know, that family died out years ago. These were donated to the parish forever and a day.
unless we have evidence of that, we have to be careful.
You'll never get anywhere with this carefulness. They were donated years ago.
I think the criteria should be functionality. Are the benches being used? If so, we need safe benches or replacements. I do not think we have a responsibility to maintain memorials to people who are no longer interested in when the bench was put there and who it was put there by. You know, if somebody wants to say, yes, I value that, that's fine. But
Do we have the assumed responsibility to look after them?
I don't know.
Who gets sued when they go straight through one?
Yeah.
Because I think it's us.
That's the
Yeah.
point.
It is.
Scotty
Well,
Bob.
but whether or
Best
not,
to look at that.
but whether or not we would,
Yeah.
because there's no, this is what we, you know,
Well,
no one
that's-
here say which ones have been
right.
handed over and which ones have not.
That's my point. If it's functional, it's maintained or replaced. If it's just as a memorial, then
So within it, alright, so looking at it from another point of view, if one's vandalised and needs repair, who repairs it?
well, I guess we can.
Well then, if that's an assumed
Or sue.
responsibility for the maintenance of it,
Yeah.
then we have to have an assumed responsibility for the removal and replacement of it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, and I'm sure there's not very many people who would argue that if we have to make a contract maintenance policy, then we also have to be able to come to the conclusion that it's unserviceable anymore. For the right reasons, of course. We're not trying to get rid of them, you know, but certainly we are culpable if someone hurts himself. So,
Well, I'm agreeing. It's functionality rather than
But I think-
memorial value.
but I think, you know,
It's
compassion should be top of the list, and if the plaques can be replaced under the new benches, we should do that. Because actually there was one bench had it stamped in, it was a flower pot, had it stamped in where it said this was to commemorate, and it was replaced in 2021. So that could potentially happen as well.
I think that is a very low cost but nice thing to do if we can pass plaques from bench to bench. But I do think it is, if something's dangerous, it's not functional, and we don't have the funds, or it's not somebody who wants to donate to replace or anything, it just goes, let's get this wrapped up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just think one of the things on it, if it's, for instance, there's plaques that can easily be transferred or replaced. If it's ones like the benches with the carved on it, maybe that's then transferred into a plaque to make it simpler for future transitions.
That makes sense.
I'm just wondering if you have contact on the bigger parish council like Annick or Morpeth and see if they have a policy around this. We could.
We could have a
Look.
Right, anything else on benches? I think we chewed it round and round.
It's like 4 hours looking at it now.
He's talking about the snacks that you had. You had snacks on this mission.
Coffee,
Yeah, the coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
Yeah, the coffee.
White fence beside Walsall Lane pedestrian cut through. To discuss condition of the fence, well this has been reported, hasn't it?
It's not the fence itself, it's
It's
all
the
stone
bit
walk at the
of
bottom.
Oh, the fence.
There was
The
a
fence
member
is
of the public
broken.
who took stones into a bucket about down there the other day, and it is loose, and it does need attention, but it's Northumberland County Council, so we need to contact them and get them just to come out and to do their worst.
I've reported it, but what they did last time I reported it, which was, I would guess, quite a couple of years at least, they just went and removed the loose stones. They didn't replace them, so that's why there's now the little gaps going along. So I'm guessing what we want to make sure